Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Whatever's going on in your world, we appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Sohn with Sohn Social Media Solutions here in the woods in Pennsylvania with the bears and the turkeys. And where are you today, Jim Fuhs?
I'm in lovely Marietta, Georgia, home of the Atlanta Braves. People don't realize the Braves are actually in Cobb County in Marietta, no longer in the city of Atlanta. So I'm going to claim the Braves if they ever play baseball again, hopefully soon. And excited to have Eddie. We had planned to have Eddie on a few months back, but Eddie, as sometimes happens in live streaming, life got in the way in a big way for him. So really glad to see that digital what is it, the digital creative marketing,
the Digital Media Creator Academy.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic at times.
That's okay.
Member of that group, learned so much. Eddie's always bringing so much value to all of us, and great to have you today, Eddie.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I know back, I think it was in October or November of last year, had a health scare, but all good now, but excited to be on. Love it.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So Eddie, tell us a little bit about what you do, your background, maybe a little bit about your academy. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so I've been running my digital agency, Clover Media, for the past 5 years. My background, my education, I graduated from college as a graphic designer and multimedia technology degrees. After college, I went to work for a private banking company in the ACH processing kind of niche of that industry, and I was the director of sales and marketing for there. The company was sold. I didn't care for the new owners too much without going into too much personal detail about that. So my wife and I decided to make a change. We moved to Orlando, Florida, and I opened up my own digital media agency called Clover Media Consulting. At one point in my college career, I thought I wanted to be a graphic design teacher. So I was actually going to get my master's in that. And when all this kind of came to fruition, what they don't need to learn, and just do it like that and kind of offer it to people that are either in my scenario or just wanted to learn a little bit more about how to do it for their own business. So it's not only for content creators, it's also for, John and Susie, small business owner down the street, or other, social media managers that maybe want to learn a little bit more in their continuing education. So I really enjoy doing that because I love the educational process of watching someone go from this point to this point.
That is awesome, Eddie. And we share a commonality in that my plan originally was to be a teacher. I was going to be a Spanish high school teacher, but instead I got sucked into journalism and then social media eventually. So,
¿Dónde está la
biblioteca? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué pasa? So guys, thank you again so much for tuning in. We have Eddie Garrison here. And today we're going to be talking about how to build a community using live streaming, which I really think is so important now more than ever. So Jim, do you want to get us started with our first question?
Yeah. So Eddie, how important is engagement for live streaming, and how can we get our audience to interact more with us during our live shows?
Right. Well, first of all, live streaming is engagement, right? That's what it is. You are 100% live. You're going to bumble through some words. You're going to stumble. It's not like doing edited format for long-term stuff like YouTube where you have unlimited takes to get it absolutely perfect. So live streaming in itself is engaging content just because of the simple fact that here I am, right? It's very intimate. You're allowing people to come into your space, and virtually, obviously, but when people are watching, it's very easy for them to feel like they're a part of the show, especially when you have people coming in the comments and you see people over here, you're like, oh, Tim Sohn's watching. Hey, what's up, Tim? How you doing? Giving them a shout out is a great way to get them initially involved in the show. And obviously you're using a platform that's near and dear to my heart with StreamYard, and you have these tickers on the bottom right here, right? So you can put some calls to action to generate engagement from your guests. You can run the title of your show. You can run, comments that are questions that you'd like to do. Obviously in StreamYard, you're also able to bring in graphical overlays to where you can put your CTAs up there. You can put questions. You can run a poll. Obviously like an impromptu poll where they're not going to be able to interact with it. But the engagement part, when you put the poll question up there, is they're going to be showing in the comments that you bring that comment on screen, and then the engagement happens. One thing that I don't believe that people utilize enough in live streaming, and anybody that I coach at doing this, and then when I do my own live stream shows, is go back after the live stream is done and honestly answer every single comment that has come up. It doesn't matter if you acknowledge the comment during the show or you didn't acknowledge the comment during the show. Go back and reply to every single comment that you get. And I don't care if you get 5,000 comments, reply 5,000 times. Because what it does in effect is it shows, well, not in effect, what it does is it shows people that you care enough about what they said about you during the show. Even if you go in there and acknowledge it, go, hey, I hope I covered that in the reply during the show, or just answer the question again. It does one of two things, like I was saying. Comments are weighted probably number 2 in how the algorithm and their ranking signals work. So if you have 100 comments and you reply 100 times, now you have 200 comments, which means more people are going to see the replay of your show, which means they're going to tune in next week when you go live on your show. So that's why engagement is huge during live streaming.
I think that's so critical. And I think the other thing too, and Tim shared earlier, because it's, I know we're all geeked out that StreamYard now, you can now share your LinkedIn comments on screen. So, but to be able to share these comments, sometimes that person that you shared their comment makes them feel like, wow, they're paying attention to what I'm saying. And obviously sometimes in the flow of the show, you're not always able to do that. So I think that's another great tip, Eddie, is the fact that go in there and engage, and because that may make them want to join your community, which is one of the things that we're talking about today.
And that's what you're trying to do, right? Is you're trying to drive people to wherever you want them to be. And live streaming is helping you do that, whether that be a landing page, a sales page, a website, a YouTube channel, whatever, or, to a Facebook group to keep it on platform if you're live streaming on Facebook. So you're trying to build a community in that platform. So if you're on Facebook Live, you're driving them to a Facebook group. And if they like what they see in the live stream, they're going to like even more, most likely, what you're doing in your Facebook group. Because as you see, like on a Facebook page, you can't post as much. I mean, you can't post as much information on a Facebook page. And what I mean by that is, like in a Facebook group, there could be 1,000 comments in one day, or 500 posts in one day. I mean, I'm in some pretty big Facebook groups that literally have 500 posts a day. You don't want to see that on your Facebook page. That's just going to get lost, right? So you use your live stream from your Facebook business page to push people to your Facebook group.
Eddie, and that actually brings up a question, because for me, that I see a lot of these people are always talking about, like, well, I want to go live in the group, or they choose to go live, I think, on a group instead of a page. And because I've seen these comments like, well, people won't share their pictures so I can see who's commenting. It's almost like, well, then why are they in your group in one aspect? But why not go live on your business page and your group at the same time, even, right? I mean, if
that's what I do.
You want to share, yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I do. On my weekly show, I go live from my Eddie Garrison personal brand page, but I also go live in the Digital Media Creator Academy group at the same time. Obviously, I'm using StreamYard, so they make it very simple to do that. I just add it as a destination, and I'm good to go.
Right.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that's also really cool about live streaming is that you'll have people coming back over time that become loyal viewers of your show, right, Eddie? So you could say, hey, that's Jim. He's an awesome social media consultant. And, you can make it more personal by, shouting people out, right?
Exactly. And then what a lot of people don't realize is they want to focus on how many people are watching at the moment and in the live stream. And don't get me wrong, that's important to a certain extent, but 95% of your views are going to come on replays. So, I mean, just take for an example, you're doing a live stream and you may have peak live at like 50 people watching live, but you go back in a week, to look at what you're doing, and 10,000 people have watched it. So, you have to make sure that one thing that I see people that struggle with a lot in live streaming is they want to wait for more people to get on. You don't want to do that. You just want to run your show like there's 1 million people watching, or if there's one person watching or 1 million people watching. You don't want to run your show any different, because like I said, 95% of your views are going to come from replays.
Absolutely.
Of course. So Eddie, obviously content is really important on live streaming to get people to watch your content and for them to stick around as well. So do you have some tips that you could share with us about what kinds of content resonate best with your audience?
Yes, I preach the 4 E's when it comes to content creation. Every piece of content you post, whether it be a live stream or any other social media content out there, needs to hit one of these 4 E's. It needs to be educational, it needs to be entertaining, it needs to be emotional, or it needs to be engaging. If you can hit one of those 4 E's in every single piece of content that you produce, especially in live streaming, people are going to watch, because what you want to do is you want to post consistent, strategic, quality content that's either entertaining, engaging, emotional, or entertaining. If you do that, you will have success, because that's basically the motto that I live by when I work with brands. And if I'm doing social media management for them, if you hit those 4 E's, your content will be successful.
I like that. Educational. That could be a new hashtag.
Educational.
Educational. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, because what a lot of people don't understand is social media isn't just sales all the time, because the best sales pitch doesn't sound like a sales pitch. The best marketing campaigns don't look like marketing campaigns, right? So it doesn't matter what product or what service or what you have, either an e-commerce, a brick and mortar store. If you can turn and make it educational, but sell yourself at the same time, it doesn't look like sales. And I'm going to use an example. If you have a brick and mortar oil changing service that has tire rotation and everything, and you're running a special on, buy 3 tires, get 1 free, or whatever you're going to be doing, right? Whatever your sales pitch is, you do 30 to a 1 minute, 30 seconds to a 1 minute video. I'll learn how to speak English here in a second, guys. So you can say how important it is to always remember to rotate your tires when upcoming bad weather is about to strike. So you shoot this 30-second to 1 minute commercial, and people are like, oh, that's right, I need to rotate my tires. They're going to come to your shop. Now, you didn't just post, hey, Sunday, come rotate your tires and, you get 1 free or whatever. You made it an educational post about a service that you offer, but it's not a sales pitch. But guess what? It really is. So that's what I mean by your sales pitch doesn't need to be salesy, because the best marketing campaigns are not a marketing campaign.
So true. Yeah. So true. What do you think about that, Jim?
No, I think that's extremely critical. And I think, unfortunately, and I think that's why this is, a timely topic, is there's not enough businesses taking advantage to think of how they could just do a short live video, like Eddie said, 30 seconds to a minute long. Just tell them what you do. Or even as an example, maybe you're a restaurant, even though you're doing maybe curbside and takeout, you have the chef real quickly say, hey guys, this is what we've got going on tonight. You want to watch while we prepare it? Mm-hmm. And that short live video will get people interested. Like, wow, I didn't know they made that. Or, oh, that's really cool to see how they make that. And then people start following them because they want to see more of that. People, it's that whole, as Brian Kramer says, that human to human connection. And that's what I think live streaming does even better sometimes than recorded video, because, in a sense, we like to see the bloopers, right? We've had a couple of those today.
We should put together a blooper
reel, man. Blooper cell. And I want to touch on your point, Jim, because we actually did this for an Italian restaurant that I work with here in kind of like the greater Orlando area. So, obviously they got not shut down, but they were just doing delivery and curbside pickup. So they came together and they came up with these pizza kits, right? To where they give you the dough, they give you the sauce, they give you the toppings. So what they did is, obviously I couldn't go to them because we were on quarantine or whatever back then. So they just whipped out their phones, shot some video clips of them preparing this pizza kit. They sent it to me. I edited it. We posted it to their social media account. They're only on Facebook. And I can tell you this, they have 1,241 followers. That video got 91,000 views.
Wow.
Holy moly. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Now, see, everybody looks at, and I use these guys always as a case study, because their engagement rate is about 71% on Facebook, all organic. They've never run one ad on Facebook.
Right. And I think that's important, because I think if you have that organic engagement, you don't necessarily need to be running ads, but it's about that consistency. It's about that building community and adding value. And if you're using the 4 E's, which I preach all the time as well, and then have that, and I also add the C to my equation, that call to action, you're going to get results.
Yep, definitely. And more specifically too, when you're talking about locally owned small businesses. And this is one of my pet peeves in kind of the social media marketing world, is everyone wants to look at these best practices, blogs and vlogs and videos, and that's not going to work for you. You know why? Because what works for Wendy's isn't going to work for your brand. What works for Disney isn't going to work for your brand. You know why? Because you're not them. I don't know why people want to mimic something that they see that they perceive to be successful on social media for a company that has 51 million followers on Facebook and they have 151 followers. It's not going to work. If you don't understand how to look at your analytics, extrapolate what that is telling you, because that's your audience talking to you right there. Everybody always says, listen to your audience. You want to know how to listen to your audience? It's in your data. It's in your analytics. That is your audience talking to you. So if you see content that's getting 100 comments and then another piece of content that's only getting 10 comments, you know what you should do? Make more content that's getting the 100 comments. That's what Facebook wants to see. They want people to stay on platform longer. And the way that the algorithm works in a nutshell is they use ranking signals. And the ones that rank, the ranking signals that are the highest, number one, shares. Number two, comments. If you can get those two nailed down, that's when you don't have to worry about running ads, because your organic reach is going to be so stupid. You don't have to worry about giving Facebook money anymore.
Great point.
For sure. And I think also, Eddie, well, first we want to thank everyone who's tuning in. Again, we're here with Eddie Garrison talking about community and live streaming. And I think, Eddie, tell me what you think, but it's been my experience that sometimes some of the best live videos are spontaneous. Like you're out somewhere and something happens and you just want to share a story or something like that. What's been your experience with that kind of thing?
I love the spontaneous lives, and it's kind of funny because what we preach always is consistent content, right? And sporadic content like it isn't consistent, but I know what you're saying. And where it really drives home with the spontaneous lives is if you're at an event, right? And you don't have a plan live to go. So say that you are a restaurant and you go down to buy some fresh vegetables at the local farmer's market and you go live. Dude, people are going to love that because they're going to see that A, you're buying fresh products, which everyone likes to see. B, you're keeping it locally minded. And C, you're just basically opening yourself up, right? You're being a person, what Jim spoke to earlier, that human to human, right? So it's all fine to say, oh, we have the freshest ingredients and we're locally sourced. But you could just be saying that, right? And social media is just smoke and mirrors for the most part for a lot of people. But if you go live at this farmer's market and you see this chef walking around looking at tomatoes or looking at onions or buying these fresh, produce or whatever they're doing, man, that goes a long way of letting people know that, hey, when I go eat there tonight, that tomato sauce that he did, he could have bought that this morning. That's about as fresh as you're going to get. So yeah, those spontaneous lives really open up the business to be more personable. And, going back to what Jim said, it's a human to a human, right? It's not just you looking at the menu and go, oh, we're locally sourced. Anybody can print that on a menu. I mean, that doesn't mean that is true. But if people actually see, well, at least two, I don't.
Rose Horowitz is watching. Rose is a producer with some of Sri Srinivasan's shows. She's an amazing journalist and does a great job producing her show. So thank you for tuning in, Rose. Nicole says, great idea for content. RJ says, hey, Jim and Tim. Hey, RJ.
And RJ is over on LinkedIn, so it's great to see these LinkedIn comments working.
Yeah,
thank
you,
LinkedIn.
I'm not on LinkedIn.
well, Eddie, maybe it's time. I know you're
a
Facebook guy, but
not that I'm not on LinkedIn. I've got like 75,000 connections on LinkedIn. I just don't like the platform.
Wow, that could be a conversation for a whole other day.
That's right.
Yeah, I won't get into my
And Melody is actually in Ireland, and her and I just talked, connected recently, and she's doing some great stuff as well with relationship coaching. So Melody, great to see you as well.
Awesome. So Jim, you want to take the next question?
Yeah. So Eddie, this is actually, I don't know that I think the answer is a timely question, but where should we be building our communities, in Facebook groups or somewhere else? And I know I have my opinion, but I definitely want to hear yours.
So this is my thing when people ask me, where should you build? And I'm going to give a canned response. And it's not really a canned response, but I guess it kind of is. And it's honestly where your audience is. I know that's such a tired cliche, but we were just talking about how I don't like LinkedIn. So I wouldn't build a community on LinkedIn, right? All the people that I engage with, the people that get my information are on Facebook, right? That's where everybody asks me questions. That's where everybody watches me go live. So I build my community on Facebook. Now, is that through a group? Is that through a Facebook page? It's a symbiotic relationship between the two. You know, I post once a day to my Facebook personal brand profile page, right? Or my personal, geez, I cannot speak. My personal brand page on Facebook to drive people to my Facebook group, because that's where a lot of people come for information. That's where a lot of people come to interact with me one-on-one. Obviously, I go live there. So it all depends on your demographic and where your audience is, right? If you're younger, it's probably going to be Instagram or even TikTok or anything like that, right? But Instagram, I honestly don't believe Instagram is great for building a community, because you can't really build a community there. You can build a following there and push them to somewhere else, be that a website, be that, you know, a Facebook group page, but you can't really build anything there. You can build awareness on Instagram to drive them someplace else. But, you know, as far as building a community, there's really only 3 places to me that you can actually build a community. That's going to be Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And everyone's like, really? YouTube? Yes, YouTube. Build there. If you're not there, where have you been?
And that's fairly new, isn't it, as far as the community aspect of YouTube? I mean, you have to get to a certain number of subscribers. But I agree with Eddie. I think Facebook is probably the best place to build a community. And the reason I say that, it's not that I don't love LinkedIn and Microsoft. If you're listening, if you would actually fix groups to work, you would probably get more activity in groups.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with LinkedIn groups. They just don't work at this moment. Facebook groups, there's so much you can do in them. I mean, and I don't think people realize, right? Sometimes, like, you can actually share files, you can upload PDFs, you can go live. I mean, so many things you can do in a group that just don't even work on a page. Even polls are so much better in groups than on pages. And I don't understand why Facebook doesn't make them the same on both.
And this is a pet peeve of mine, because I run polls at least once a month for the brands that I do social media management for, because they're a lot of fun. And they're basically engagement bait that's built into the platform, right? They don't want engagement bait, but that's what they do. They give that to you for free, right? But they're making it harder and harder to run polls on Facebook pages for some reason. I just noticed this earlier this week, that you can't go, especially on the mobile version, you can't create a poll from Facebook on a mobile phone. You just can't do it. You have to go now to Creator Studio to do them.
Yes, that's
so it's like they're making it harder and harder to do something that's very successful for the people that know how to use them correctly.
Right. And yeah, that whole Creator Studio, don't get me started, in Live Producer as well.
No, I don't. Yeah. How about the Braves, Hancho?
That's right.
No, and I fully agree with you too on LinkedIn, because I used to use LinkedIn quite a bit. I'm talking like 2004, 2005, like mid 2000s, early 2000s. That was the place to be. For me, it just became a wasteland of nothing but spam bots and self-promotion. That's all it became. So I just abandoned the platform altogether.
It's changed.
It's just not where my audience is.
Yeah. And that's good. And that's a good point. That's an excellent point, right? You need to be where your audience is, not where.
And when we talk about too, building a community, and so many people, and too many people, honestly, in my opinion, they look at success by the number of followers that you have, or they look at success because your Facebook group has 50,000 members. That's just a number. I would rather, like, my Facebook group, I mean, we're closing in on about 500 members, but our engagement percentage is closing in on 70%. So I want that number. I want that engagement number, engaged members, to be way, way up, or active members, or whatever they call it. I want that to be way up. So if we only have 500, but 75% of them are active, that's a huge number to me. The 500, I don't care about. I would rather have a group of 500 that people are constantly engaging, constantly learning, and constantly sharing valuable information than one that has 50,000 members and all it is just, oh, look at me, here's my YouTube page. And I think when you look at building a community, and I'm going to speak specifically to Facebook groups, I still think that you need to have some kind of structure and some kind of content plan in place, just like you would on your Facebook page, right? I have a content calendar for my Facebook group. Every Monday is Marketing Monday, where everybody in that thread is able to post one thing, either a new YouTube video, a new blog, a new live stream they're doing. Every Monday, they know it's coming. We do a Tech Tuesday, to where I post a different piece of tech. whether it be a ring light for your mobile phone, a microphone, so people can look and maybe purchase that. On Fridays, we do Follow Fridays, kind of bringing back the old hashtag Follow Friday from Twitter. That's the one day a week that you can post to get people to follow your Twitter account or your whatever. So I think having a structure in place, even more so in a group, because it kind of keeps it organized where it's just not all willy-nilly and people posting all the time. So I think when I try to help people build a community, I have to first tell them that you need to have some kind of structure and goal in mind when you first start building that community, because you don't just want to open the floodgates to anybody and everybody coming in, because then to me it's going to get like LinkedIn, where it's just nothing but self-promotion and spam bots. And you don't want to do that when you're trying to build an engaged community.
Eddie, that's so, and I love what you're talking about with the whole, how to build the community. I mean, and I think you might be as well, a huge Pat Flynn fan, his book, Super Fans, he talks about, right? It's about having those advocates, those champions. They're going to bring the people. It's better to have 500 people that care than 20,000 that don't. And that's what I think people have to remember. And I just think that's such a powerful message.
Word of mouth marketing is still the most powerful marketing out there. And yes, it's changed. Word of mouth has changed because we now have a 24/7, 365 platform to speak on, which is social media, but it's still word of mouth. It's still, when you're on Facebook and you go, hey, this place has a great deal on oil changes, they're going to share that out. That's word of mouth. Word of mouth now is sharing. That's what that is. That's the new word of mouth marketing, is the share button on social media platforms. The more that you can get the content to be shared, the more success you're going to have. And that reigns true on a Facebook business page. That reigns true in any kind of community that you're trying to build. I don't care even if it's a private community. Like my Facebook group is private, and you either have to be invited or you have to ask, to have access. But one of the questions that in my Facebook group that you have to answer is, how did you hear about the group? Almost 99% of everybody's like, oh, this person told me, already a member. This person told me, already a member. That's word of mouth marketing right there.
I love that. And Linda Ray, thank you for joining us. She says, structure and goal to build a community, genius and critical, especially now. Thank
you, Linda. So that's like, I even have it written down somewhere on a Post-it note. I used to. It's I wanted to do like the mission statement basically of the Digital Media Creator Academy is, helping brands master their social media marketing with structure, systems, strategy, and support. And I truly believe those four words, and that's what I try to do. And basically the systems and the structure, because if you don't have a structure, your system is going to falter. If your system falters, you can't have a strategy around it. And if you can't have a strategy and a structure falters, you can't support people in their goals.
So true. So true. So Eddie, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So tell people how they can learn more about your academy or website or social media, whatever you want to share with people.
Yeah, definitely. I'm everywhere except LinkedIn on on social media, and it's just my name. It's just Eddie Garrison. So if you want to stalk me anywhere, just type in my name, Eddie Garrison, and you'll most likely find me. The Digital Media Creator Academy is on website digitalmediacreatoracademy.com.
And cool. Eddie is very active on Twitter.
Like, yeah, it's kind of funny. So like people always ask me like, or you see these polls, what's your favorite social media platform? That's a twofold answer for me, because my favorite one to use is Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time. My favorite one for building communities in a business is Facebook. Right. But if you look at my revenue streams, like where do I make money at? And it goes in this order: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Those are my top 3 for revenue streams. So that answer is like 2 or 3-fold for me, because I love Twitter. I love the aspect of Twitter, because I'm a firm believer, if you can say something in 8 words, don't use 10. And that's why I love the limitation of Twitter with only 240 characters. You got to be concise, and you have to get to the point really quickly.
Very true.
Absolutely. So Jim, do you want to tell everybody who our guest is for next week?
Yes, we're very excited. Next week, we will have Jeff C., the manly Pinterest guy, will be joining us, and we're going to be talking probably some more about some live streaming stuff, because Jeff does quite a bit of live streaming, different platforms, different shows, works with Social Media Examiner, works with Guy Kawasaki. So really interested to dive into some of the ways he sometimes repurposes live video, which is something that Eddie hit on earlier. But this has been great. So glad we finally were able to get you on, Eddie.
Thank you.
Community is so important, and I'm glad to
Yeah.
be a part of your community because
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
definitely a lot of high value in there.
Thank you. And Linda says, I love Twitter. Yes, I do too. I'm on there a lot.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great week.
See you guys.